Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.
Welcome to St. Louis on the Air. I'm Sarah Fenske. A few months ago, college students getting ready to graduate could anticipate a terrific job market. Unemployment was the lowest it had been in decades. Workers were calling the shots. Then came the coronavirus, and this month's new graduates suddenly face a much-changed world. One of them is Chase Kohler. He turned in his last assignment towards his MBA from the University of Missouri, St. Louis, just 1 week ago today.
I was terrified like anybody else. It really happened overnight, and the ramifications kind of unfolded slower because while we knew what was happening, we really didn't know the extent of how long it was going to happen. And at that time, I was actually interviewing with a couple of companies that I wanted to work with post-graduation, and a lot of them actually ended up freezing my offers or stopped the interview process. I was interviewing with several airlines and a couple aerospace manufacturers, and it pretty much all ended in the same week. Everyone decided just to freeze cold turkey, and the aviation industry in particular has been hit really hard during this pandemic. So obviously their hiring is not going to pick up for, I would say, several more months.
That's Chase Kohler, who just got his MBA from UMSL. And he considers himself lucky. He actually just landed a job after a quick pivot within the aerospace and defense industry. He's now in the process of moving to Southern California for that opportunity after looking hard for companies that still have Department of Defense contracts out.
I'm born and raised. I'm a Boeing boy because Boeing is here in St. Louis, obviously. And I've been here my whole life, so it's hard for me to kind of leave that side of the business behind because I am passionate about that. But I'm excited to kind of venture out. Part of me has always wanted to leave St. Louis for a little bit. I think you need to venture out of your comfort zone to get a new perspective. And so this is kind of ticking all the boxes at once.
And Chase Kohler has a dual perspective. In addition to getting his own degree, he's been working over the past year as a graduate assistant in UMSL's Career Services Unit. He says he's learned a lot in that role.
I really wanted to help students actually find their job because I knew what I wanted to do, cold start, and I've learned, especially teaching students for those 18 months, a lot of them didn't know where to kind of go. There's so much uncertainty and so much doubt within themselves, and I kind of wanted to be that bridge and say, you can do this. Like, from a student perspective, don't doubt yourself. Find your target points and go for them. While there might not be an A to B route, there might be an A to C route, and you'll still get to the same endpoint.
That's Chase Kohler, who just earned his MBA from UMSL. Also graduating this month is St. Louis native Lisa Camp. In her case, it was an undergraduate degree from Webster University. She viewed the university's virtual graduation on May 9th, and she told us it was nice to mark that milestone through that ceremony, as unconventional as it was. Her focus now is on her next step, and while she has some work still this summer, she's on the hunt for something in her field, media communications.
There were a couple of jobs that I interviewed for before all of this happened that were put on hold, and I still have no word. So that was kind of nerve-wracking, but seemingly, I'm checking LinkedIn every day for new positions, especially remote positions, and it's seeming to come back to life with things opening up here soon. So I've been working with also creative agencies that help with placement, so that's been a help, and they are starting to get more buzz from other people who are hiring as well. So I would say I'm hopeful, and it's getting better, and I feel lucky still in the sense that I have things on the horizon.
And that's newly minted Webster graduate Lisa Camp. Back in February and March, Lisa remembers seeing various articles and statistics and thinking, this is a good time to be graduating because there are so many positions.
There are so many positions, the hiring percentage was through the roof. It was great. So many stats and everything that was saying this is a great time to be graduating, and there are so many opportunities and new doors opening for recent grads. Now that's kind of shifted clearly, where it's not such a great market and not such a good time to be job searching, especially with other people who are already in positions, getting furloughed or laid off. So it was definitely very, very positive and very, very hopeful, and that's completely turned a little bit.
And again, that is Lisa Camp. And here to discuss the tough road ahead for those just entering the workforce is John Link. He's the director of Webster University's Career Planning and Development Center. John, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
So, John, this is just such a weird and hard time for so many of us. How are the college students that you work with doing at this time?
Sure. Yeah, I think that many of the college students that we have been connecting with in our office have been met with a lot of anxiety about their job search prospects. Many of those students who have been coming in are exploring what they can do with their major, and now they're exploring what options they have to do when their plans have to be changed amid COVID-19. So we are looking at some optimism in how our advisors are connecting with students, but there's a lot of uncertainty about what's happening, and we want our students to know that their concerns are validated.
I understand that some of those concerns have to do with rescinded internship and job offers. What are you hearing about that? What have employers said in terms of the number of offers they've decided to rescind because of what's going on out there?
Yes, initially through the National Association of Colleges and Employers, when a survey was sent to employers and career development offices all over the United States, about 20% of employers of those who had responded indicated that they were rescinding internship offers due to the amount of work that would need to be hands-on and could not be moved to a remote setting. And for any full-time positions that were offered previously were also being reconsidered, and those may have been also rescinded. So definitely looking at some numbers that indicate hiring and moving forward with positions that were already offered going into the pandemic going away, but we're also seeing a return of many positions opening back up as well.
Interesting. So things are starting to get a little better out there?
As I look at it through Handshake, Webster University's online career management and recruiting platform, where employers are posting positions to students and recent graduates, they are continuing to engage with us and other universities in the St. Louis area. So it does appear that employers are still interested in hiring creative young minds to meet the challenges of tomorrow.
Well, now, we talked earlier to Chase Kohler, and he had just earned his MBA from UMSL, and he obviously is one of those people who's managed to land a job despite everything that is going on, and he was moving to Southern California for that. He had some advice for his peers who are still looking for a job during this challenging time.
Take the terrifiedness and the uncertainty, that's not even a word, but take the uncertainty in stride. And I mean, everything is temporary in life. This is not forever. So while you may be feeling like this is not going to happen and there's not anywhere to go and the world's kind of collapsing on itself from the job market perspective, it's not going to be that way forever. So there's a lot of things you can do now. Just stay connected with everybody who's going to help you with your end goals. Keep those relationships maintained. Stay active, even if it means volunteering. I did a lot of volunteering work in the aviation industry just to kind of make those connections I needed to help me get the interview experience that the defense contractors require. So seek out those opportunities. I know right now it's hard to actually get physical with people because of the social distancing, but send that LinkedIn message, update your wording. Don't be afraid to kind of brag about yourself a bit, because you will always be your best advocate. And employers, for better or worse, do see the people that stand out the most. So find a way to stand out, find a way to make it work, and you can do it.
And that's Chase Kohler, a new UMSL MBA. John, those were some pieces of advice from him. What are some of the big pieces of advice you're giving kids right now?
Well, first, I have to compliment Chase on having such a positive outlook and really being focused and determined with his personal career goal. Some of the pieces of advice that my team and I have been connecting to students and recent graduates is looking at how they can stand out while they've been asked to stay in. And that may be looking at optimizing their LinkedIn profile and networking through different online platforms that they have profiles on. Highlighting their communication and collaboration skills and focusing on how that they are able to adapt to these changes and use that as part of their marketing strategy for their personal branding. And also staying active on those employers that are actively hiring. We have a lot of employers who have indicated that they have either laid off or furloughed workers and employers who are currently under hiring freezes. But there are many employers out there that may be aligned to your specific goals. So maintaining that kind of listing of opportunities to continue your job search and persevere through these challenges is the best piece of advice that we're able to connect to our students and recent graduates at this time.
And are they able to accept that, or is there just too much anxiety right now?
Well, I do not expect them to accept that because there is so much anxiety when it comes to what you have no control over.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you got to feel for
definitely.
these kids. This is such a hard time.
Yes, very stressful, and not just for our students, but all of our colleagues in higher education and our employer partners have also had to adapt to engaging with people that we are used to engaging with in person, and how quickly we at Webster University have been able to respond, not just in the Career Center, but also our other student affairs offices and academic offices, but looking at ways that we continue to engage our communities of students and alumni through other means as well.
So Lisa Camp, she was one of the students we spoke to earlier. She's actually one of yours. She's a Webster University student. And she said that from the conversations she's had with some of her associates, fellow new graduates, many of them are taking this as an opportunity to change fields and to really think through what they want to do.
It's a reminder that, life is short and we should all be doing our best to live happy, healthy lives. So some people who are in jobs that they didn't necessarily like, who've already graduated, like my peers from last year, they are in jobs they weren't happy with, and now they're kind of using this time to reevaluate and switch into an industry that maybe they would be more happy at. So I think it's kind of like, a wake-up call in some sorts for people who are already out in the field. So I think that's also good.
And again, that's new Webster graduate Lisa Camp. John, are you seeing that people are maybe looking at this going, okay, here's a restart. I need to think through what I really want to do. It's not what I thought it was.
Yes, I'm not only seeing that from current students and recent graduates, but even alumni who have reached back out to ask if there is an opportunity for them to shift or change industries. And one big thing to remember is that many of these types of jobs that our students are looking in may be fielded in one specific industry, where their shift may be moving into a different industry or searching in a different area of than they may have originally planned to. And that might be a temporary change to their internship or job search process.
So you're also hearing from alumni as they come forward seeking out help. Is that something that you're willing and, I guess more importantly, able to do with the resources you have there?
Of course. So Webster University has a pretty robust alumni association, and one of the arms is a platform that we use called Webster.careers, which is mostly used by our alumni community. And in recent days and weeks, I have had many alumni reach out to me via LinkedIn, thanking our team and our university partners in the Alumni Association for bringing some calmness to a very uncertain time ahead and helping them revamp their career toolkit and focusing on how they can really bring some certainty to an uncertain time.
Well, that's great. You're there for the alumni as well. That's good to know. And it sounds like if people are looking for some help, they might want to think about contacting their alma mater, that they might feel the same way.
Definitely, yes. Many career services offices do have services for those alumni, and definitely some good resources on their websites.
So we talked about people shifting and changing fields, using this as a chance to sort of do a restart. As you're looking into where jobs are being posted these days, are there particular fields that you're pointing students to take a closer look at? Say if there's somebody who's not sure what they want to do, but they know they really want a job, where are some of the boom industries right now?
So some of the industries that are definitely seeing an increase in position postings are information technology, looking at ways that you can be as creative and innovative working in a remote location, and that often requires some tech-savvy skills. We're also seeing a lot of small pop-up types of opportunities that may have been an in-demand field given so many restrictions on social distancing and stay-at-home orders. So those essential businesses have increased their hiring. Many other employers may be focusing on operations that are outside of Missouri and maybe not hiring where they have a footprint in Missouri. So students are also encouraged to look at expanding their geographic location if their job search may take them somewhere else, like Chase's took him to Southern California.
So there's some opportunities out there. People just need to, it sounds like, be adept and, as you say, to find a way to take that deep breath and to find your calm in the middle of all this anxiety.
Absolutely. And if they need that reassurance, our team at Webster, and I'm sure any other university career services, are willing to be a sounding board to restore some of that confidence that the students need to hear during this uncertain time.
Well, John Link, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you and your listeners. I appreciate the offer.
And John, again, he is the director of Webster University's Career Planning and Development Center, and he's telling us all to take a little bit of a deep breath here. And also, some people are hiring, so there's some good news. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio. That's 90.7 KWMU.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.